So today's video is the first in a 3-part video series on Lexi and Blitz. Different bows, different elements, and different approaches to build makes Lexi very flexible and equally deadly. In today's video, we're looking at a pretty standard Voltaire build, expanding off the meta-dominating classic constructed builds that we saw in the latter part of 2023. A huge shout out to our channel members for supporting what we do here. If you want to get involved with the channel and the Dice Commando community, please consider joining as a channel member. Remember, these videos are only possible with your support. You can show that support with a like, a subscribe, and by leaving us a comment and sharing your feedback. Community first, and go Commando. Hey there, my flesh and blood friends. Welcome back to Dice Commando, and go again, a fabulous cast, and thanks for tuning in for the kickoff of this 3-part video series. Today we're looking at Voltaire Lexi. That's right, the dual shot, or sometimes triple shot, with 3 of a kind and all that Lexi. Very reminiscent of the builds that we saw very much dominate the classic constructed meta in the latter, basically post-Outsiders, kind of headed into Lexi's Ascension and all that. Now, all this week, as part of our march towards Skirmish Season 9, I'm looking at 3 different ways to build our Elemental Ranger. We'll look at a standard Voltaire multi-shot build, at my personal pet deck extra damage build using Shiver, and then finally what I believe to be the best build of the format, Ice Lexi Death Dealer. Channel members, of course, have early access to all of these videos, as well as all of the existing Skirmish Blitz videos as of today. And as we go through this week, please let me know your thoughts and, of course, which is your favorite of these builds. So that's right, today we're talking the Voltaire Strike Twice build, kind of a more traditional Lexi build, if you've been playing Flesh and Blood for a year and a half, 2 years or so. But if you're relatively new, this could be potentially new to you. So let's cover the overall strategy. So Voltaire Strike Twice is her bow, right? Those are Majestic bow from Tales of Aria. Twice per turn instant, right? So the key of being an instant is that it doesn't break to Chane, which isn't super relevant in this deck because we don't have a bunch of pumps. But remember, you can do it maybe on your opponent's turn and stuff like that, right? So just make sure to keep track of that. So for 1, you can put an arrow card from your hand face up into an empty arsenal zone. You are going to have 2 of them because we're going to be playing New Horizon. And that arrow can either get +1 until end of turn or go again until end of turn, right? So the general strategy here is if you do go into your turn with an arrow in your arsenal, what you can, or maybe another non-attack that we'll talk about playing, but let's say like a 3-arrow line. You can have an arrow in your arsenal, you can load with go again, you can load with go again, and then you can fire off that other one, throwing 3 pretty hefty arrows, many of which have on-hit effects, okay? Alternatively, if you have something like an Arctic Incarceration or something like that in there, you could give go again, and then play that card, right? And that could even come from hand because you'd have the action point. And at the very least, what you can do is you can load with go again, and then give the next one +1, right? Or if you only have 1, +1, and so on. Okay, now another very big key to this deck, let's go into the deck itself. Another big key is, which we're going to see across this whole week, is 3 of a kind. So 3 of a kind, draw 3 cards until the end of the turn. You may only play cards from Arsenal and go again. Now, that inherently doesn't sound great on the surface until you realize that you can still load your arrows, right? Which is pretty good. And then depending on which video you're looking at, we're going to be using those resources for different things. But what this will do is in a pinch, at the very least, I'll let you dig for arrows. You can load some arrows, fire them off. The other cards in your hand can either go on Arsenal at the end or help you pay for things along the way, and or both. Okay, so very big key in this deck. So we are running Bullseye's Bracers. Now at the time of me shooting these videos, the Azalea deck is not out. There is potential based on kind of how things work together that the new gloves could work. Sure, why not? They do seem better than Bullseye's Bracers, honestly, in terms of putting an aim counter on it, depending on what the arrow may be. So there's certainly an argument for that once that happens. We are playing Tunic in this deck. I don't generally run Tunic in Blitz just because of how, generally you'd have to run 6 turns in Blitz to get kind of an advantage out of it, but you get one resource on turn 3 out of it, and then you can block with 1. We are playing New Horizons, of course, and Snappies, and then, of course, Voltaire. Okay, so Arctic Incarceration, create 3 Frosties under your target opponent's control. This is really, really dirty in this build because what they'll often do is they'll kind of, you may be throwing arrows at them that don't have necessarily relevant on hits. They'll be holding back because they want to go, and then you just dump this on them, and now their whole turn's screwed, and they didn't block you, right? So that's why you definitely want to play this at the end, right? Kind of general strategy there. Throw the stuff at them. If they do block, you just kind of leave it there, right? If they're not going to have a hand, you just leave it there. If they take a bunch of damage, sweet, you dealt damage, and then you throw this, and now they've got to figure out how to do their turn. Hey, this is a major, major piece in this deck. Another major piece is Boltyn shots is a 4-3-2 with the +1 and the reload on hit. The fact that you can Voltaire for +1 automatically gives us the reload. Pretty freaking sweet. We're going to see a lot of this week. We're running Drill Shot because Drill Shot is a functionally amazing arrow. Now, I am running 2 endless arrows in this. Traditionally, not traditionally, but oftentimes, and if you talk to Arthur, now granted that was an Azalea build, but he had, when we talked to Arthur, I'll link the video if you do care. He's a very good Azalea player in the area. He had a lot of really good feedback on why he only would run 1 endless arrow. Now, I'm deciding to run 2 here basically because it's Blitz, and the fact that, again, I talked about that triple arrow build, because you have the extra arsenal slot through New Horizon, okay? You have Lexi's ability to flip it up, and you have the ability to load 2 other arrows. I think that running 2 endless arrows is the correct thing to do, okay, in Blitz. Now, if it was in CC, would we still run probably 2? Maybe we would, but I like the endless arrow, okay? And a lot of times people throw everything at it because they don't want you to get the arrow back, which is fair. Okay, we are running Falcon Wing. This one is interesting because it has natural go again, so it basically comes in for a 4, right? Because you would load it with the +1. So it comes in with a 4 natural. You could also just stick an Arsenal and go with a 3. That works too. Red-Blue Infecting Shot. Now, Heat Seeker is just a phenomenal Lexi arrow because when it hits, you get one, you put whatever that card is, you're guaranteed to be able to flip it. Maybe it's ice, whatever it may be. Maybe it's another arrow for a go again. Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, so we are playing Premeditate. This is one of the few pumps we have in this deck, but the Ponder token again for the ability to put something in Arsenal. Right, there's a theme here. It's just really good value. +3 threatens. So it's only +3 on the next, but the hit effect carries the entire turn, right? So if you lead with this, your next arrow gets +3, but any arrow you throw that turn has the hit effect. Very, very, very good. And we're also playing Searing Shot. Searing Shot's just a 4-0, but it hits for 5. So it swings for 4, hits for 5. We have Remorseless, which absolutely is devastating to certain heroes. We have 3 of a kind we talked about. Withering Shot is one that I'm on the fence on. The reason I'm on this one over Inertia is that there's quite a bit of weapon power in Blitz. If the meta shifts or something like that, where we're worried about like 5-card hands or something like that, there's absolutely an argument for Inertia. But I think that just with the weapons and the dual swings that we see out there, it's pretty good value because you get also from -1 in Arsenal too, right? So I think this is the right play, but if you want to play Inertia, go for it. We have Art of War because Art of War is just crazy good. We have Codex of Frailty because Codex of Frailty is crazy good. The best play in this deck, honestly, is Infecting Shot, right? You come out, kind of get them down to where they can't really do anything. You Codex of Frailty, you bring it back. As long as you can pay for it, you're gold. Rain Razors with Boltyn Shot is disgusting. We now have Frostlock. So Frostlock is functionally a blue. This one doesn't seem to do its thing super often, but once you start running out of arrows, in this deck, I mean, it's still good as a blue, okay? And then Winter's Bite, target hero discards unless they pay, and it's an ice for, you're not really trying to fuse in this, but it can come up like with the Frostlock, but mostly what you're trying to do is get this in face down, flip it for a Frost, and then do the thing as well, right? And that thing might be on different turns, right? Because remember, you only need 1 Arsenal slot to keep slinging, and you can always just play this out, all right? Now, in the inventory, I am running Battlefront Bastion, and then my spicy take is Take Cover, okay? So instead of running Sink Below or something like that, I like Take Cover because, again, you can reload. Reload is any card, and you can do it face down, which means you get the flip effect, right, with Lexi. Okay, now be very careful with reload. Reload specifically says if you have no cards in your arsenal. So even if, right, so let's go back to New Horizon, okay? New Horizon says while you have a face-up card in your arsenal, you have an additional arsenal zone. Reload does not work with that additional arsenal zone. You have to have a completely empty arsenal for reload to work. But again, I really like this one serving the Sink Below spot, but instead of the cycling, it allows you to reload a card, which then feeds the Lexi ability. In terms of the AB equipment, we're running Trench of Sunken Treasure for AB1. We have Null Rune Boots with AB1, and then remember your Ranger Gloves have AB1 as well. And then we're running Perch Grapplers for just a little extra armor if we do decide that we need it. All right, so that is, again, this should look very familiar to a lot of folks who've been in Fab for a while. It's not really cracking any eggs in terms of what Lexi can do. She's very, very, very powerful if she can get going. Disadvantages are she doesn't block super well, and the cards that do block well are the arrows that you need to shoot, right? The Ranger Conundrum. So anyway, that is the Voltaire build. Have some fun with it. Again, make sure to check in the next 2 days. Tomorrow, on Wednesday, we will be covering the EDD build, which is my pet build. And then on Thursday, we'll be covering what I believe to be the best one, which is the best one of the three, which is Rick's, actually. Rick's Ice Lexi Death Dealer build. All right, that'll do it for today. Thanks for tuning in, folks. See you in the next 2 days, and go Commando.